Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to Open Mic here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea, and Open Mic is just a bunch of friends standing around a virtual water cooler talking about whatever we want to talk about. Now, on the John Campea Show, we save a few minutes at the end of the show, take some live questions, but here on Open Mic, that's all we do. Just live questions taken from you guys, and it's been a good day already for me. Lots of good stuff going on with me. I hope you guys are having a marvelous day as well. So without any further ado, let's just dive into the live questions today. And the first live question today comes to us from Adamus95, who writes, I think Meg will most likely bomb. Your thoughts? It's hard to imagine it not flopping. I mean, it looks silly. Look, I dig the trailer. For those of you who don't know what Adamus is talking about, there's a new Jason Statham film coming out called The Meg, short for The Megalodon. Now, this is a movie, it's based on a novel about a prehistoric giantess of the giant sharks, right? This is a movie they've been trying to get going for like 12, 13, 14 years. I can't even remember how long, but it's been a long time. I remember talking about Megalodon back in the day of the movie blog. Like back when I was doing the movie blog, like this is pre-AMC, pre-all that. Back in the movie blog days, I was writing stories about this movie they're gonna try to get going called The Meg, and it just never really happened. Adding a Jason Statham, I am a big fan of Jason Statham, but when you add a Jason Statham, you're kind of making a statement about what kind of movie it's going to be, right? Like you're not going for a Quiet Place kind of vibe when you add a Jason Statham. Jason Statham's great at what he does. I'm just saying, when you add a Jason Statham to a movie, you're kind of sending a message as to what kind of movie you can expect and what kind of movie you can't expect. Like, so the moment you hear Jason Statham's going to be the lead in the film, you know, okay, so this isn't going to be a Quiet Place. This is going to be a movie like that. They're going to go for more excitement and action and all that kind of stuff. And that could work out to be great. Is it going to work out to be the kind of thing that attracts a huge audience? I have my doubts. Now, look, it's also possible that the movie could be spectacular and everybody loves it and has a great time at it. Word of mouth gets out, it gets some legs, and it does okay. Barring that, I'm honestly not sure I have very high hopes for it as a movie. And I'm not even sure what the budget on. I heard the budget was quite big. So this could be one that they end up taking a financial bath on. And remember, we're not even talking about whether the movie's good or not. Maybe the movie's great, maybe it's not, whatever. I just don't see a giant shark movie. Look, we've seen shark movies come out recently, whether it's 47 Meters Down or The Shallows or things like that, and just not a lot of people run out to go see them. I don't know why we would expect a lot more. And like Jason Statham isn't the biggest box, as much as I love Jason Statham, he's not the biggest box office draw in the world. So yeah, I agree. I have my doubts, Adamus. I really have my doubts about it. Let's see. Mason Barr writes, hey John, I'm finally going to go see, speaking of A Quiet Place, I'm finally going to go see A Quiet Place during your show, unfortunately. And I'm so excited. I don't even think, even bring a drink, popcorn, or snacks. Look, I can't remember if I told the story. I think I did. Because A Quiet Place is so quiet, I have never been more self-conscious of eating popcorn in my life. Now, I go into every movie and I order popcorn. Even if I just had dinner, even if I'm stuffed, it doesn't matter. I order popcorn. I don't even like popcorn all that much. I never buy it to eat it at home or anything like that. But when I walk into a movie theater, man, it's an automatic mental response. I got to get my popcorn and soak it in butter. That's what I got to do. And normally it's never a problem because there's sound going on the screen. So you can eat your popcorn and you never even notice. But oh my goodness, for A Quiet Place, I'm sitting there, I kid you not, I'm eating my popcorn and I'm aware of every chew, crunch, crunch, and I'm like, so finally but I can't stop eating. So finally what I do is I put like 2 pieces of popcorn in my mouth and I just suck on them between the roof of my mouth and my tongue. I'm just trying to dissolve them just so I can suck out the buttery flavor of the popcorn. And so that's how, until things start happening and then I can feel good at crunch again. But yeah, if you're somebody who likes your movie snacks, it's a very self-conscious movie, A Quiet Place. But it's awesome. You're going to love it. Dim Sum 05 writes, dude, There is such a huge Infinity War spoiler theory I want to share with you that I don't think anyone has asked. Not sure. Can I DM you on Twitter? If you want to share with me, you can just email me. Email me at the John Campea Show or John at thejohncampeashow.com. Don't worry about putting topic in the subject line, but you can just email me there, and that would be fine. Okay, next one up here. Murray for Us writes, which Disney movie do you think will make more overall box office? Christopher Robin or Mary Poppins? That's a good question. I'm looking forward to both of these movies. I really am. I wasn't so interested in either. Then I heard Ewan McGregor was going to be starring as Christopher Robin. Okay, I'm on board. This sounds interesting. And then I saw the trailer for Mary Poppins. Nothing that blew me away, but I got a sense of it. It's like, oh, okay, all right. And you know, of course, you got Emily Blunt in there and talking about A Quiet Place. What more do you need? So I'm looking forward to both. Which one will do better? I'm going to go out on a limb and say Mary Poppins. Christopher Robin may end up being the better film, but there's something a lot of people talk. They've already put Mary Poppins on magazine covers. Like the Mary Poppins reboot has already been on the cover of a couple of the big movie magazine covers. Not so much Christopher Robin, right? I think there's just a broader appeal about Mary Poppins. Now, if the movie was called Winnie the Pooh, it's a live action Winnie the Pooh, maybe you're calling it Christopher Robin. I like the title, to be honest with you, but I feel like Mary Poppins is going to get a lot more attention. So which movie will be the better movie? I'm not sure, but I do think Mary Poppins will probably end up doing better at the box office. Mary Poppins could actually end up being a bona fide hit, like big hit. Like $700 or $800 million kind of hit. Like seriously, I think that's the potential for it. Christopher Robin, potential for $300 million. So, you know, we'll see. All right. Dimsum05 writes, do you ever practice speaking, like play out scenarios and conversations out loud to yourself? I hope I'm not the only one. Am I crazy? No, I think lots of people do that. I don't particularly do that. Like the only time I practice speaking is when I'm going over show notes. Sometimes if I'm going over show notes or prepping for a movie review or something like that, I'll practice speaking out loud. What I do more than anybody else, and seriously, when people ask me who are podcasters or YouTubers, and they ask me, what's the one bit of advice you can give me for getting better at podcasting and YouTubing? I usually ask this question. Do you listen to your podcasts or watch your shows after you record them? And 8 times out of 10, they go, no, man, I just get self-conscious about listening to myself. And I say, well, there's your biggest mistake. When you record a podcast or record a video, if it's a long video, try to watch it 2 or 3 times. If it's a short video, try to watch it 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 times. I do every movie review I do, every short editorial I do, I'll watch it 12, 13, 14, 15 times. It is the only way you can get better. Because you got to take yourself and watch yourself from an audience member's point of view. And you start to pick up on the things you're doing well, the things you're not doing well. You start to recognize, wow, do I do that? I mean, I've been doing this since 2003, and I still, like every podcast I do, every short video I do, every long video I do, even the long videos, I'll watch at least once to just watch my own habits, watch my things. It's like if you're an NFL player, it's like watching film, watching yourself, finding your mistakes, finding what you're doing well, how you can do it better. So I don't practice speaking in advance, but what I do is like kind of replay and watch what I do afterwards. So that's one of the biggest things I do. Let's see. Ben Rayner writes, hey, John, Cobra Kai is worth watching. Okay. First couple episodes are rough, but once you get into the turning point, it's addicting. Give it a chance. See, here's the thing. When a show or whatever, his first few episodes are rough, then, Look, I'm the audience member, all right? I shouldn't have to tough out an hour or 2 hours just to get to some good stuff. Your show should start strong. You don't have to dive right into the main heart of everything, but then do something else strong. A TV show should start strong. I should not, as an audience member, be expected to have to invest 1, 2, 3, 4 hours just to get to the parts that it starts to get good. Now, I say that, but like one of my top 3 all-time favorite television shows is Spartacus. And it started rough. It did. The first like 2-3 episodes of that show aren't just rough. They're some of the worst television I've ever seen. Honestly. I mean, it's just brutal. But then, and the only reason I stuck it out is because a friend of mine was one of the stars in the show. That's the only reason I stuck it out. Because I remember watching it and going, like I was watching it with Ann, it's like, this is bad, but hey, you know, Aaron's in it. Let's just keep watching. And then like around the second half of episode 3, you get into episode 4, all of a sudden it's like, oh, and it's like one of the best television shows ever. So I'm saying I shouldn't have to be expected to sit through some rough episodes to get to the good stuff. I'm the audience, you should start strong. But one of my all-time favorite shows is a show that does exactly that. So take it as you will. I don't know, man. I think I need to hear more people tell me that it's decent because the trailers to me look really rough. The trailers to me do not look all that good. And I don't have a lot of time. Like, I've got all these people tell me, John, you need to watch The Expanse. Season 3 of Into the Badlands just started. I got a bunch of people tell me, John, you should watch this show and that show. Should I really invest like a couple of hours that I don't have into a YouTube Red original show, Cobra Kai, that I don't even think the trailers look good? I'm glad you're telling me about it, Ben, but I need more people backing you up. I need more people backing you up in this before I invest any time in that show. ZOMG Ruler writes, John, thanks for being a good pundit. Oh, thank you, ZOMG. I feel bad for Warner Brothers. I like the DCU, and bummer not enough people did. What's the best thing I can do as a fan? Well, honestly, I think the best thing you can do as a fan is just doing what you're doing. Support what you like. If you like it, support it. You know, when they put out, make sure you go see Aquaman. If you've liked what they've done, and look, as much as I lament that they're nowhere near on the same level as the MCU, I like the DCU. Unfortunately, not everybody does. And as a matter of fact, there's a lot of people that don't. And that's why I believe they've dug themselves too deep of a hole. They need to reboot it. They've just lost the audience. They've lost the fans. And like, I'm sorry, and people want to argue with me about that. I'm sorry, there's no getting around this one fact that you cannot navigate around. Justice League came out and ain't nobody went to go see it. I mean, it made $650 million, but like understanding that this was potentially a $2 billion film, it is the summit of the DCU up until this point. You did all these other movies, and now it comes together, Justice League, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, like all in one movie. And it's the lowest box office gross movie. In other words, fewer people went to go see that movie than any of the other ones. I'm sorry. That is a referendum that the audience just held on the DCEU. The audience just said, we're not into it. Like, you can make every argument you want around that. Doesn't matter how much I liked. Like, I went to go see Justice League like 7 times. I liked it. But it doesn't matter what I think. What matters is the audience basically said, we're not coming to watch it because we've given up on the DCU. That's basically what happened. Can you imagine if Avengers Infinity War came out and the fewest amount of people came out to see it than any MCU movie? Can you imagine? Forget whatever the dollar value is. Can you imagine the headlines? Can you imagine the narrative? If Avengers Infinity War comes out and it was the lowest grossing of all the MCU movies, this movie that is the culmination of the MCU to now, and imagine if it was the lowest grossing of all the MCU movies. Can you imagine the headlines and the Twitter messages and the chat board forums? Can you imagine? Well, that's what just happened with Justice League. And so look, as a fan, keep supporting them. But also be vocal that they need to do something, i.e. they need to reboot. That is their best, most effective way to getting back to an even playing field. Reboot, start fresh, let the audience know this is a brand new thing, and go from there. There is precedent in comic book movies that rebooting can work. There's good precedent that it can work. So I hope they do it. Anyway, let's see here. Luna Comics writes, hey, John, I was just watching an episode of South Park. That's never a bad way to spend your time. And there's an episode where I just couldn't agree with the message. Is it okay to disagree with a message by a show or film? Oh, sure. Look, there's lots of episodes of South Park that I do not agree with the message. But that's cool because I'm not watching South Park to agree or disagree with their message. Often I agree with their message. Oftentimes I don't, but that's not the point. The point is, did they make an entertaining show? Even if they present a point of view that is contrary to my point of view, that's fine. Did they at least make it fun and funny along the way? Like, what I never want to be is one of these one-dimensional people that's like, I only like things from people who say things I already believe. I never want to be one of those people. You know, I just never want to be one of those people. South Park often has done shows and episodes where the basic moral of their story is not something I agree with. Many times they do, but many times they don't. But that's fine. That's not my litmus test as to whether I find a show entertaining is not whether they say things I agree with. I mean, it helps, sure, but my litmus test is, did they present it in such a way that it was entertaining and fun? And it made me at least go, okay, I can see where they're coming from. I disagree. That's not my worldview. I don't agree with it, but they did it in a fun and funny way. That's all I ask. So is it okay to disagree with the message of a show or a movie? Absolutely it is. It completely is. So yeah, because that shouldn't be the guiding principle as to whether you find something entertaining. You know, and that's part of the problem with the political environment today, right? It's like so many right-leaning political people will only listen to absolute right-leaning political news people. And some far-leaning left political people will only listen to far-leaning left news people. And that just creates the problem. Nobody is going outside of their own intellectual ghetto per se, right? They're all staying in their satirized, homogenized, ideological neighborhoods and just sticking there, never looking at other points of view, never considering anything else. And so, yes, it is okay as an audience member to watch something that you don't agree with the messages, and it's okay to not agree with the messages of something because this is entertainment. It's not just about listening only to things that we agree with. It's okay to listen to things we agree, and then it's okay to say, I disagreed with that, but that joke was pretty funny. Like, there are a lot of Canadian jokes out there that make fun of Canadians, right? I do not appreciate having Canadians made fun of, but if it's a funny joke, it's a funny joke. Whether it's about Canadians or Italians or whatever, if it's a funny joke, it's a funny joke. So yeah, I'm totally fine with that. All right. Murray for Us writes, do you think there will be another Scooby-Natural episode in the near future? I love that episode. Hey man, look, it's been a long time since Supernatural did something. Look, no, let me rephrase. I don't know that Supernatural's ever done anything that's caught that much attention. That Scooby-Natural episode was a double hitter, right? On one hand, it was a great idea, and it executed perfectly. And it got everybody talking. I hope, the risk of it is if they do another one, it devalues the specialness of it, but it was such a good episode that, yeah, I wouldn't mind it if once a year, once a season, they have to team up with the Scooby Gang for one reason or another. Once a season. I think there's something cool. Like, what I think would be great is, like, next season, they go back into the Scooby-Doo world, and now the Scooby Gang are hunters. Like, wait a minute, we thought we convinced you that monsters weren't real. Yeah, but we thought about it, and it just didn't make any sense. That's when we found out the monsters were real. It would be awesome if they go back into the Scooby world, and they're all hunters. Fred, Daphne, Velma, they're all hunters now. That would be awesome. So I'd be down for that. It runs the risk again of, taking away some of the specialness of the one event thing, but it was also just such a good episode. I think you could do one a year and it could be a great running thing. I don't know how many years Supernatural has left. I think it's like going into its 14th season. 14th season. Wrap your head around that. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. Jerome Lim writes, hey John, greetings from Vegas. I love Vegas, my second home. Can you rank the DCEU movies from least to favorite? Thank you, love your channel. I've kind of done it many, many times. So I'll go from my favorite on down. Easily my favorite, the best DCEU movie by miles is Man of Steel. By miles. Like there's Man of Steel, then there's everything else. That's not a knock on everything else. It's just how good Man of Steel is. I think Man of Steel is a top 10 best comic book movies of all time kind of film. I love that movie. So to me, it's Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman. So Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, and Suicide Squad. That's how I would rank them. And I like them all, by the way. So if my line for liking or not liking is here, then Suicide Squad's here, above that. So Suicide Squad, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Batman vs. Superman, Man of Steel. That's how I would rank them personally. Let's see. Next one. Raymond Verada writes, the first 2 free episodes of Cobra Kai were great. Oh, I didn't realize they made the first 2 free. I mean, I'm a YouTube Red member, so I can watch them all, but I didn't know they made the first 2 episodes free. That's a good idea on their part. The first 2 episodes of Cobra Kai were great. See, that's the thing, Raymond. I just had somebody else tell me that the first couple episodes are rough. But anyway, we're great. Rotten Tomatoes has it as 100%. Is YouTube Red worth continuing at $10 a month like CBS All Access? Well, here's the thing. There are other benefits with YouTube Red. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not sitting here pumping YouTube Red, okay? For me, it's not a bad deal because you know what I use a lot more than YouTube Red? Google Play Music. So when you sign up for Google Play Music, you also get YouTube Red. Google Play Music is my music service of choice. I just really like the way it's aggregated. I just really like the way it's aggregated. I love the simplicity of it. I love that it works with my Google phone so easy. I can say, hey, Google, play this, and boom, 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 it just starts playing. And it also gets YouTube Red. The other advantages, of course, with YouTube Red is that it's ad-free and all that kind of stuff. So there's other benefits. So it's a much different beast than, say, getting a CBS All Access. Because CBS All Access, you're just paying $10 a month to get that channel, and that's it. With YouTube Red, there are other benefits. Also, like you can, normally with your YouTube app on your phone, if you go to another app, YouTube stops working. If you have YouTube Red, YouTube will play in the background. That's a big advantage. Especially for somebody like me, is that I listen to it a lot when I'm walking or I'm at the gym or whatever. And I like to bring other apps to the forefront. So that's an advantage. No ads is an advantage. Google Play Music. So it's a whole different package. Look, I'm not going to sit here and promote YouTube Red. I will say this. I have it and I enjoy it. To me, it's worth the $10 a month. But it's not like a Cinemia card or something that I think it's so good, you all should try it out. Like it's not for everybody. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's fine. I'll just let you know, I use it. I have a good time with it. It seems to work for me. Let's see. AFC writes, Ebony Maw is top 5 MCU villains, and I wasn't even joking. Okay, so you were the one. Yeah, I've been talking lately about how somebody wrote in and said, I think Ebony Maw is like a top 5 MCU villain. And when's the last time you can say about a villain who's essentially just a henchman? For those of you who don't know who Maw is, he was in. He's basically Thanos' main henchman in Avengers: Infinity War, and he, in and of himself, is one of the best villains the MCU's ever had. I loved Ebony Maw. I loved that character. I almost said something that was a spoiler, but I could have done with a whole. I could do with a whole movie of Ebony Maw. I loved that character. Loved him a lot. Okay, let's see here. History Soup writes, rewatched Remo Williams. Doesn't hold up. Reboot? It held up for me. I watched it again about, was it about 2 years ago I watched it again? I loved it. Chew, you could do a whole show about Chew. You could make a slapstick comedy, a weekly half-hour comedy on MTV or on NBC that's just Remo and Chew in their apartment talking, and I'd watch the hell out of that show. I mean, you couldn't get away today with a lot of the things that Chew says in Remo Williams, The Adventure Begins. But anyway, it's based on a set of novels called The Destroyer. I believe that's what it's called. So Remo Williams is the lead character in a series of novels called The Destroyer. And there's been a lot of talk in the past number of years. I know a number of times, both on the movie blog and on AMC, stuff like that we did stories on. It looks like there's renewed interest. Another studio's picked up the rights to the Destroyer series and blah, blah, blah. I would love to see them revisit The Destroyer, to revisit Remo Williams. I think it's a great idea for a movie. I hope they do it, and I hope they keep the spirit of Chew as much as they can, because Chew is just awesome in that. Let's see. Chris Miner writes, thoughts on Burn After Reading. Brad Pitt is great. Well, Brad Pitt is great. You know what? Here's the thing about Burn After Reading. I think a lot of the performances are better than the whole. You know what I'm saying? There's some really, really good things about Burn After Reading. Not my favorite from that collection of filmmakers, But yeah, not a bad little film. But Brad Pitt is great in it. Like when he's in that. Yeah, Brad Pitt is great in that. Okay, Master Jiang writes, "Hey John, did you check out the Arrested Development Star Wars parody made by Ron Howard? By the way, are you a fan of Arrested Development?" Not really. Not that big of a fan of Arrested Development. One of the biggest controversies I've ever had was about Arrested Development. They were coming back with the show on Netflix. I said, it's not going to be, look, it got canceled for a reason. No, ever since that home video, everybody watched it, everybody, and then they put it on Netflix, they put a new season out on Netflix, and it didn't do that great for Netflix. But no, I heard about it on social media, the Ron Howard Arrested Development parody. I heard about it, but I didn't check it out yet. So you're the first person on the show who's actually telling me to bring it up and say I should check it out. So probably as soon as I'm done the show today, I'll probably go and check that out. Okay, let's move along here. Cyber Gorn Star Trooper writes, I love that name. "Why does Ready Player One add CG feel worse than movie?" Why does Ready Player One add CG feel worse than movie? Cybergorn, I love your name, man, but I don't know what it is you're asking. So I'm not trying to ignore you. I just read along with me, guys. Why does Ready Player One add CG feel worse than movie? I don't know what it is you're asking, dude. Sorry about that. Let's Watch writes, "Your 5-part Infinity War spoiler discussion is a better cinematic universe than the MCU. I kid you not." Okay, for those of you who don't know what Let's Watch is talking about. So Ann and I did a 2.5 hour Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion video, right? And the questions and topics just kept coming in. There were so many of them. After 2.5 hours, we were only going to do it for 2 hours, and I didn't even think there would be enough questions to cover 2 hours. We went beyond 2 hours. We went to 2.5 hours, and we didn't even scratch the surface. So we said, okay, guys, we just got to stop. Then a whole bunch of you guys said, you should do another one. So like a night or two later, I did another Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion. Unbelievable how much you guys had to say. So now I'm left with all this long list of questions and comments and observations from the first Infinity War spoiler discussion, and an almost equally as long list from the second one, and I put them into one document so I can do a companion video for it. So no more live spoiler discussions, but I do have a whole hell of a lot of these questions. And I read them up, and there's over 200 of them. 200 of just the ones I didn't get around to. So yesterday, Jonathan, fact checker Jonathan and I, we start into it. So we do the Infinity War spoiler discussion part 3. It's up on my YouTube channel right now. And we went over an hour going through all the questions and comments that had come in that we didn't get around to on the live shows. And we didn't even get a quarter of the way through. So later today, Jonathan's coming back to the studio, and we're going to do Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion part 4. And we'll probably go another hour. And we're probably going to end up having 6 parts. You guys are going to be dead tired of me by the time but we're probably going to end up having 6 parts because we had so many discussion questions comes in. And that's why we had this idea about doing a movie club thing where it seems like we all really had a good time talking about one specific movie. Now, granted, it's the biggest movie of all, well, not of all time, but it's the biggest opening movie of all time in Avengers Infinity War, yes, but that's why we had this idea, and I brought it up the other day on the show, that we're going to start this thing, I believe, called the Movie Club. I'll work on the name, but it's basically once a week, I'm going to pick a movie, whether it's a movie like Ant-Man, or whether it's a movie like Gladiator, or whether it's a movie like Best of the Best, or whether it's a movie like The Godfather, or whether it's a movie like Schindler's List, or whatever, or whether it's a movie like the first X-Men movie. And we'll say, okay, guys, movie club this week is X-Men. So you'll have a week to make sure you go and watch that movie. And then that weekend, we're going to do like we did for the Avengers Infinity War, just a complete open discussion about that movie. We'll bring up all of our talks and topics. And I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be really great. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to doing that. Okay. Oh, I just got an email notification with my Deadpool 2 screening. Okay, so I'm excited about that. Let's see. Next one comes to us from Chris Martin. Oh, speaking of my Deadpool 2 screening. Okay. John, Celine Dion has a new song in Deadpool 2 called Ashes. Got to check out the music video. Watch after the song too. There's banter. It's great. I actually put out a tweet before I started the show today that said, this is absolutely the greatest and most Canadian major motion picture soundtrack music video you will ever see. If you guys haven't seen it yet, as soon as this show is over, go and watch it. Deadpool 2 music video. Just go look it up. It's Celine Dion, who is still maybe the best female vocalist on the planet right now. Anyway, Celine Dion and Ryan Reynolds, Deadpool, and it's a music video for the movie, and it's awesome. It's just awesome. I absolutely loved it, so make sure you guys check it out when you get a chance. Okay, next one comes to us from, there's the big jump. Sorry about that, guys. Next one comes to us from Recruz, who writes, John, have you seen the Deadpool, here it is again. Have you seen Deadpool 2's new music video with Celine Dion? It's hilarious, fits the character perfectly, and it's marketing genius. And it is marketing genius. It's a fabulous, fabulous trailer. So yes, guys, again, make sure you go and check that out. Titus Vlado writes, it was cool seeing fact checker Jonathan yesterday. You know what? That's one of the really, and I'm glad you guys like seeing Jonathan on camera. That is one of my favorite things about the new studio. I know on camera it doesn't look all that different from my last studio. But by the way, if you guys are a team level Patreon supporter, I put up a video on the Patreon page the other day just for team level supporters and higher, giving you a tour around the studio, showing you all the various pieces of equipment that I use. And one of the big advantages is that this space is bigger and I actually have a spot for a guest to come in and sit in with me. I haven't had that. And now I actually have a spot that a guest can come in and join me. And it was great having Jonathan on. Jonathan's going to be back again later. And, one of the things I'm working out right now, remember a little bit earlier in the show, I mentioned that I had this friend of mine who was in Spartacus. Her name's Erin. Her full name's Erin Cummings. And Erin is just a firecracker of a woman. I mean, I love this woman. I adore her. I love being around. She's got this power and energy about her that I just find contagious. It's just really great. Anyway, and she was just in The Disaster Artist, and she was in, she had 4 different TV shows and things like that. But anyway, she has a remarkable story. She was in this show on ABC that I believe only lasted 1 season. It was called Detroit 187. It was like a cop murder show, whatever. And she was a regular on it. But they shot a lot in Detroit. And she started this charity in Detroit called Mittens for Detroit. That was just basically a charity that she founded, just getting warm stuff for people who live on the streets in Detroit, because it can get cold in Detroit. She was diagnosed with cancer. She was just in the Blacklist as well. She was awesome in the Blacklist. And she's just one of my favorite people. And I've been talking with her saying, look, I need to get you to come in. And I want to just do a video special that just sit down, because she's got such a remarkable story. I can't wait for you guys to meet her. But I've never been able to do it because I never had a place that I could actually have a guest come in. Now that I'm in here, I'm going to set a date with her. I'm going to have her come in here. And I'm just probably going to do a 1-hour sit-down interview with her, because you guys really need to hear her story. It's an inspiring story. It's a really cool story from a really cool person, and I can't wait to have it. But again, yes, Jonathan was great. Jonathan's coming back in tonight so we can do Avengers Infinity War spoiler discussion part 4. And like I said, it's probably going to be about 6 parts. All right. Recruz writes, John, Ryan Reynolds says he isn't sure about a Deadpool 3 recently. Do you think this is because of the whole Fox Disney deal? Well, you can't be sure of Deadpool 3 when you don't even know how Deadpool 2 is going. Look, we can all sit here and speculate, as I am, that Deadpool 2 is going to do great, but you can't. How many times have we seen recently about getting ahead of yourselves has bitten studios in the ass? We've seen that happen a lot lately, whether it's Power Rangers or the Monster Universe from Universal or others. We've seen getting ahead of yourself is a little bit too much. Compound on that the fact that I'm sure Ryan Reynolds, first, he doesn't know if this Fox Disney deal is going to go through. And if it does go through, are they going to want to keep his Deadpool? Are they going to want to recast the Deadpool? Because it'll be up to Disney then at that point. I mean, so yeah, it's probably the best thing to say is he's not sure. I'm sure he's got an idea, but he's probably not sure. I haven't asked Ryan about it personally because I do not have Ryan Reynolds' phone number. So I have not asked Ryan about it personally, but I'm sure, look, it's the smart thing to say. You're not sure because that's probably the truth. He's not sure. For all he knows, Deadpool 2 is going to come out and it's going to flop. I know that seems inconceivable, but it's possible. And then he doesn't even know if the Fox and Marvel deal goes through. And then if it does go through, he's not even 100% sure what Marvel's plans would be. So there's a lot of ifs in the air. So saying he's not sure about Deadpool 3, it's totally the right thing to say. Let's see here. Tinis Vlado writes, dealing with depression, movies and your show help. Oh, thanks, man. Something about a room, cons, sporting events, even churches filled with like-minded folks is so helpful. It really is. And you know what, Tinis Vlado, that's why, like piggybacking on what you're just saying, I went off a little bit the other day in a positive way about Comic-Con. And one of the things that I love most about Comic-Con, and this just goes to prove your point that you're making here, was that I just love being in this city where there's like 120,000 other people crowding into the streets and whatever, and everybody's happy. And everybody's having a good time because everybody's thrilled we're at Comic-Con. And there's just something incredibly powerful about that I just adore and I love. And that's one of the things I love about the movie fan community, is getting together, even if it's just in a virtual space like this, and being able to talk about our favorite things, movies, and all that kind of stuff. There's something great about that. So I'm really happy that the community can be here for you like that, Tinis Vlado. And I'm really happy you can be a contributing part of that community. So thank you so much for that. All right. Toonie2 writes, just rewatched The Last Jedi. I love it. I know it's popular to say, I have my problems with Last Jedi. Sorry, I don't absolutely love it. Best Disney Star Wars movie. A lot of people love it. I mean, the thing is out there is a group of people who don't like it, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with not liking that movie. I have my issues with the movie. I do. I still like it quite a bit, but I have my issues with the movie, so I can relate, I can understand. But there's this fake narrative around there that, oh, everybody hated The Last Jedi. No, actually, the majority of people like it. Not a vast, vast, vast majority. There's a significant group of people that don't like it, and that's totally fine. Nothing wrong with that. There's a significant number of people that don't like it, but the fact of the matter is the majority of people really do like it. That doesn't mean if you're somebody who doesn't like the movie that you're wrong for not liking it. Not at all. You watched the movie, didn't work for you, nothing wrong with that. That's movies, man. Doesn't matter if a Star Wars title is on it. Doesn't matter if a DCEU title is on it. Doesn't matter if an MCU title is on it. Doesn't matter if a James Bond title is on it. Doesn't matter if a Mission Impossible title is on it. Doesn't matter if there's a Harry Potter title on it. Doesn't matter. If you watch a movie and it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, there is this fake narrative out there that nobody liked The Last Jedi. Actually, the majority of the people did. That doesn't change anything, but just get those facts straight. So Toonie2, you are not alone. It's not my favorite of the Disney era Star Wars movies. I think The Force Awakens is still my favorite. But yeah, there you go. But I'm sure you're not alone. Square Geek writes, but John, sorry, gonna skip over that because it could be potentially spoiler. Santiago Media writes, hey John, love your show, watch every day. First time super chatter. Oh, thank you so much. Loved Infinity War. Bit the bullet and pre-ordered Thanos, Thor, Iron Spider, and Groot. Dude, that's like $1,200. If you're talking about the hot toys, dude, that's like $1,200. I salute you, sir. I just got Ann to agree to let me buy the Thanos one, so I'm going to order that one probably today. I would never be able to talk her into letting me buy that many. She'll say, you already have enough stuff on your shelves. And she's not wrong. That's the point. You know what annoys me the most about arguments with my wife? We hardly ever argue. But when we do, you know what really annoys me the most? Is when she says something that I can't counter. Like, I can just see the discussion now. I'm like, Oh, I want to buy these ones too. John, you already got enough stuff on your shelves. It already takes up all the screen space you have. And that pisses me off the most when she says something and I know she's right. I don't know if the rest of you guys who are husbands can relate with me, or those of you who are wives, you can relate with, like, when that's the worst thing in the world is when you're having some kind of debate with your spouse, and there's nothing more infuriating than when your spouse says something in that debate that you know in the back of your head you cannot counter because they're right. And that's an irritating kind of feeling, but it happens to all of us. Man, good for you. Do me a favor, Santiago, when you get those in. I wouldn't get the Iron Spider one myself, but whatever. But when you get those in, gather them together, take a picture, and email them to me, because I'd love to see a picture of those. All right. Brandon Lawrence writes, bought Thor on Blu-ray, and it came with a free digital copy of Thor: The Dark World. Really? If only this oversight got me a free copy of Black Panther. Yeah. I'm curious. Was that an oversight? Or was that like a promotion? Buy Thor, get a second movie, Thor: The Dark World, which we can't give away because it's Thor: The Dark World. I still like Thor: The Dark World, but it is, one of the lower quality MCU movies for sure. So maybe it wasn't an oversight. Maybe it was just part of the promotion to get you to buy this movie, you'll get a second movie for free on digital. But wouldn't it be great if it was an oversight and it was Black Panther? Or wouldn't it even be even greater if it was an oversight and they actually sent you Infinity War? That would be even better. Hey, where did you get it from? Anyway, thanks for sharing that, Brandon. Mitch Holland writes, thought the aliens moment during the spoiler review was hilarious. So, which do you prefer, Alien or Aliens? I love both, but for different reasons. What Mitch is referring to is during the spoiler review, Anne did it with me. And somebody brought up Aliens, and she mentioned she's never seen it, and I did not know that. And I was just agog. Like, how did I not know this? Tonight, Ann and I confirmed this morning before she headed off for work, tonight, we're going to go do some grocery shopping. We're going to go to pick up some lawn furniture. Because, lawn. So we moved into this townhouse, right? And our lawn is literally a 6'9" by about 7'3" square area nestled between two townhouses with fake artificial grass on the ground. That is our outdoor space. But Anne loves it. She already dragged me out to Home Depot and we bought some she's put up hanging plants out there, and she wants to get a little hookah table because her and her friend Corey like doing hookah table, and she wants to put up more plants out there. And I'm telling you, man, she wants to just go balls with this 6'9" by 7'2" outdoor space. That's all we got, and she's going crazy for it. But anyway, I'm dragging this into a much longer story. So we're going to do some grocery shopping. We're going to run out, grab some patio furniture, and then we're going to come back, settle in, and watch Aliens. So she's finally going to see it. I actually prefer Aliens to Alien. They're two very different movies. One is like more of a thriller horror, a sci-fi horror in many ways. Aliens is far more of an action film. That's also elements of horror for sure, but it's more of an action film. One of the greatest action films of all time. Make no mistake about it. Like, absolutely one of the greatest action films ever made. But it's more of an action film. So I prefer Aliens to Alien, and we're going to finally watch it tonight. So thanks for sharing that, man. Toshi Victor writes, hey, John, first super chat. Thank you so much, Toshi. I was wondering if you have seen The Mission. Oh, with Robert De Niro in it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love The Mission. I've talked about The Mission before. I remember once on the Movie Blog Audio Edition, that used to be my podcast back in the day. And I remember just going, I saw The Mission and like we just talked forever about it. Yeah, man, I love that movie. And you don't see a lot of movies like that anymore. And I think, I've never heard Martin Scorsese say this. I think that Scorsese's movie, what was it just called with Liam Neeson and Andrew Garfield? I think it was Silence. I think that was one of his big, they're different movies, yes, but I think The Mission was probably one of his big inspirations. I just got the sense that it was really inspired by that. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of my thought. Anyway, I love the movie myself personally. Go Kings Go 83. Not this year. They're with my Maple Leafs. Hey, Gio, been waiting on The Irishman. Any updates? No, not any. There were some set photos that came out a while ago. I think they said it's going to come out in 2019. I think. Let me just double check here. Man, release date. Yeah, 2019. They're saying it's not going to come out until next year. I wish I was more excited about it, and I wish I had some more enthusiasm about it, but I don't. I have my doubts about that movie. I really do. I think there's probably a reason all the major studios passed on it. I think there's a reason it landed at Netflix. And I want to be more excited about it, but it just, something smells bad about it. So hopefully I'm dead wrong. Hopefully the movie comes out because, look at this cast. Speaking of Scorsese, it's Scorsese directing it. Never doubt Scorsese, but there's just something doesn't feel right about it. But anyway, the last I heard, they made it official. It's going to be released in 2019, so it's still a ways away. And some set photos came out a while ago, but really there's really no more news than that. I mean, what other news can there be? We know it's coming. We know the basic premise of the movie. We know the release date's coming out on Netflix. There's really no more news for there to be. Now all there is just a waiting game. We just got to sit and wait for it to come out, and hopefully it's as good as it can be. Again, I feel bad about it, but I have my doubts. But hey, we'll just have to wait and see. Paul, had a little bit of a jump there. Hold on a second. Paul Niranjan writes, hey, John, any news for Ghost Rider? Not that I know of. A couple of buddies of mine redid Ghost Rider. Didn't have the best results with it. Then they brought Ghost Rider into the Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. world. So Ghost Rider, as of right now, technically is in the MCU. Because while they've been playing very separate lately, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is clearly in the MCU. So Ghost Rider's there. Any plans, like future plans for him and what they may do with him? I haven't heard anything definitive. I've heard whispers and rumors, but nothing that I would repeat. I mean, it's so thin, it's nothing I would even repeat. But yeah, so I don't know. But as of right now, he's already in the MCU, so anything they do with Ghost Rider's got to be connected to that. So we'll see what they do. Joe Zapata writes, do you think Daryl, Thor's mate, turned to ash? And what's funny? It's for those of you who have not watched or found especially the original one, the Daryl videos, it's these little digital shorts that Taika Waititi directed with Chris Hemsworth as Thor, where Chris Hemsworth is now in New Zealand and he's got a new roommate, Daryl, who's kind of like Kevin in the Deadpool 2 trailers. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't be surprised Peter. I wouldn't be surprised at all if Peter in the Deadpool 2 trailers is directly influenced by Daryl in these Thor short videos. And it's just, Thor's got this roommate. He lives with Daryl, and they're hilarious. You should totally check them out if you haven't got the chance. Do I think Daryl turned to ash and maybe that motivates Thor? I don't know. I think Daryl survived. Although it would be cool if they did a short video and it showed Daryl dusting. That would be funny. Okay. Ram Ez Vids writes, please ask Anne why we didn't get any 4-inch scale figures of Avengers Infinity War from Hasbro, or will they put more effort in that scale? I could ask her. She certainly won't tell me. You know what? I'm not going to ask her because I make a habit of I do not ask Anne questions that I know would not be appropriate for her to answer to me. I mean, if I don't ask her Star Wars questions, then I can't ask her about anything else either. I mean, if I'm going to ask her anything, it'll be about Star Wars. But I do not ask Anne anything about Star Wars. Even though she knows everything about the Star Wars movies long before those movies ever come out, I never ask her a single question. Because I knew even if I did, she goes, John, I can't tell you that. So that would just simply be that. I mean, I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the Avengers toys and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, I could ask her to see if it's a public knowledge thing, but I'll have to wait and see. Josh Harris writes, hey, John, this may be obvious, but I am curious, why do movies release so late in China compared to everywhere else in the world? Thanks from Melbourne. I don't really know. Look, it's always been One of the big questions for movie fans has always been, hey, why is there such a big difference between when a movie releases in North America versus when a movie releases in England or in India or in China or in Japan or in Russia? Or why the big gap? It's usually about, they usually feel the studios will try to just pick the optimum time that they think they can get most people out in a certain country. For example, they just moved the release date of Ant-Man 1 month because the World Cup is coming up, and that's huge in England. Huge. So they decided to move it away. It doesn't really make a difference in North America, but it's a huge deal there. So in that country, they're moving it. That's just a hyperbolic kind of example of what they do with each individual company. Why that's the case with China specifically, I'm not really sure, because it usually is that China is usually much later. Not sure. Maybe China only offers certain windows of time that they'll allow Western films to come in and open. I don't know that. Don't quote me on that. I'm just taking a guess. But it's a good question. I'll ask a studio person sometime. All right. Only got about 6 minutes left here, guys. Rohit Mukundan writes, saw Ant-Man again. Love that movie. Scott doesn't remember what happened in the quantum realm. Did more happen than was shown in the movie when he was there? Ooh, that's an interesting theory. I hadn't thought about that. It's an interesting theory. Maybe more goes on than they even showed the audience. Good theory. You know what? If we do a movie club on Ant-Man, which Ant-Man would probably be the first one because Ant-Man 2 is coming out pretty soon. So probably the first movie club video we'll do will probably be Ant-Man. I think the one after that will probably be Gladiator. But bring that up in the movie club when we do Ant-Man. I mean, bring that up because that's a great question. I hadn't even considered that before. That's what I love about our movie community here, man. People bring up things that I had never even considered. I love it. I had never even considered that. What if more went on in there than we saw? It's an interesting idea. All right, Gabriel writes, I love the Iron Spider suit since we've only seen the standard suit for 5 to 6 movies. I think it was time to see something new. Keep up the good work. Hey, man, if you like it, that's awesome. There are other people who love it as well. That's great. To me, it's not Spider-Man. To me, it's Iron Man Jr. Why not give an Iron Man Jr. suit to Hawkeye? Why not give an Iron Man Jr. suit to Black Widow? They don't have superpowers like Spider-Man does, like one of the most powerful beings in the MCU. But hey, make him Iron Man Jr. Okay, but you like it, that's great. Other people like it, that's great. I'm not poo-pooing on anybody who likes it. It's just that if you're going to ask me, I think it's not Spider-Man anymore. Now it's Iron Man Jr., which to me is disappointing. Let's see. Tacky, where did Tacky go here? Tacky writes, in Avengers 4, Thanos is killed by feral Ewoks. Man, I'm telling you, these are savage, flesh-eating little monsters that will catch you, burn you alive, cook you alive. Think about that in Return of the Jedi. They were not just going to cook those guys. They were going to cook them alive. They put them over an open flame while they're still alive and conscious. And they were probably going to dance to the screams of their victims burning alive through the Endor night. Ha ha, listen to these suckers scream as they die. And then, once they finally pass out and die on the spit stake, they were going to tear their flesh off their bones and eat their flesh. Then probably cut off their heads and put their heads on stakes and play their heads as instruments. These are savage little monsters. Everybody underestimates the Ewoks. Do not underestimate the Ewoks. Let's see. RCN Media writes, Shelf Tour. Actually, a part of my Patreon video I did for my Patreon team level members yesterday did have a little bit of a shelf tour. So that if you're a Patreon member, check it out. It's on the Patreon page and you'll be able to see that a little bit. Dark Horizons 211 writes, one of the iconic voices that is left out is Tony Todd. Great voice, villain, which it sounds like he's doing Venom in the new movie. Your thoughts? Well, apparently it's not Tony Todd doing the voice of Venom. It's Tom Hardy himself. From what I've read, it's Tom Hardy himself doing that voice. Tony Todd is a great voice. You're right, he is. And he just did the voice of Zoom in The Flash. and is instantly recognizable. As soon as you hear Zoom talking, you know it's Tony Todd. You're right, he does have one of the great voices. He really does. ZCM Zombie writes, what is the Untouchables quote that you love? Oh, it's easy. Just like a wop to bring a knife to a gunfight. That's my favorite line in Untouchables. And Sean Connery says it. There's only Sean Connery. Just like a wop. Because I'm Italian. Just like a wop, bringing a knife to a gunfight. It's a great line. That's a great example of don't agree with what they're saying, making fun of Italians, but it's a funny joke. And I love it. That is my all-time favorite line from Untouchables. Absolutely. Razor Edge Frisbee. And just have time for a couple more here, guys, and we're going to wrap it up. Razor Edge Frisbee writes, hey, John, been watching since the days of your Man of Steel review release. Oh, thanks so much, Razor. That being said, your work turned me from a guy that about watches 10 movies a year to a 40 a year. You truly are my favorite pundit ever. Oh, thank you so much, Razor. And you know what? That's really the best, I think, compliment you can give me, is that I want to make casual film fans a little bit more in-depth film fans. And the fact that you now go and you enjoy more movies a year and everything, I think that's great. Thank you so much for taking a moment to share that compliment with me. That makes me feel really good. So thanks so much. Thanks for being with me since the Man of Steel review days. And I'm glad you're enjoying more movies. And I'm glad you can enjoy the film fan community as well, man. Thanks for sharing that. I really appreciate it. All right, last two questions. Go to did Thanos kill.me to see if you die or alive. I got to check that out. That's great. And Razor's Ed, final question of the day, writes, also, that CGI on Thanos is amazing. Dude, it is ridiculous how good the visuals on Thanos is. They're so good. When we were talking after we saw the movie for the first time, like Ann and I come out of the premiere and like, man, and just the CGI on that Thanos is great. And it's like, she goes, wait, I thought that was just Josh Brolin in a suit. Like, nope. You're telling me that was CGI? I'm like, yep. And she was just floored. That's how good it is. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. And not to pick on Justice League, because I like Justice League, but it is when you stand in stark contrast of the big CGI villain in Justice League, Steppenwolf, and then compare the CGI of that to the CGI of Thanos, it's like night and day. It's crazy good. All right, guys, that will do it for me for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for joining me. Hey, guys, listen, don't forget, 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific today, that's 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, is our big movie news show, the John Campea Show. Make sure you come back and join us for that. We'll go over all the important stuff going on in the world of movie news, as well as take a few live questions there as well. And again, of course, guys, if you're not done so already, if you appreciate this show and you like what we do here, do me a favor, head on over to www.patreon.com/John Campea. Get all the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps this show on the air, and of course, what benefits there are to being a Patreon supporter, and then maybe you'll want to be a Patreon supporter too. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. My name's John Campea. Thanks so much for joining me, and until next time, bye-bye.